Okay, so if you hear some noise in the background, it's because I am over here at the Y sitting and I just finished watching It Ends With Us. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was. And I want to ask you, have you ever wondered why certain patterns in your family just will not stop? It's the yelling, the hurtful words, the silence. And I'm sure you may have felt like this because I have. It's going to stop with me. I remember making a decision when I first had my baby girl. She's not a baby anymore. She is about to turn a whole, what, 30 years old. And I am so very excited about that, but more about that later. Um, but what if you could say that the generational trauma ends and stops with you? The patterns continue and they continue, and you even have seen them show up in your life. And maybe you saw uh, your family member get abused, or your aunt get beat, or your mother, or an uncle, or a strange grandfather. Or maybe your parents or a teacher told you you'll never amount to anything. And why can't you be like this person? And you're nothing and you'll never amount to anything. Those wounds cut deep. And perhaps you've even gotten the silent treatment from your family, or they isolated you and called you the golden child. And you think that you're special when you were succeeding at the same time isolating you. It was the absence of love, never hearing, hey, I'm proud of you, or always being told that, hey, I didn't raise you, so you're not as important as everybody else. Sometimes it's not even the words that they say, it's how they looked at you, perhaps with disgust and like you were a burden. Um, can you imagine the pain? Or perhaps you have caught yourself doing that to your children or your sisters or your aunts. I just want you to know that that's pain. It didn't stay in your childhood. It doesn't stay there. As we become adults, it follows us, and it shows up in how we love. It shows up in our careers and how we make friendships and how we navigate confrontation. It shows up in how we argue and how we see ourselves physically. And the truth of the matter is, the impact of that trauma that we saw at very early ages travels, if left unhealed, right into adulthood. Because when we don't heal, we carry that pain into every part of our lives. Maybe you're always into arguments with your friends, your girlfriends, or maybe you don't have girlfriends, you have guy friends because you're not good at relationships because your mother wound is there or your father wound is there. It shows up when we get married and into our relationships, and perhaps we snap at our partners and we shut down. I'm a shutdowner. That may not be a term, but I shut down and I go someplace else. I isolate when things get hard, or we avoid intimacy altogether. And those are considered triggers, and those are unhealed wounds. And it's our body's way of saying, this is still painful to us. Okay, so the good news about this is now that we know that we have this trauma, and trauma is just not molestation or physical abuse. Hey, I had a best friend as a child that died in a fire. Ugh. Um, they don't have to control who you are. And healing has been so much on my mind this year. I don't know if it's because there's so much happening in the world right now. The key is not to be able to pass that junk down to your children, and having that relationship, healing ourselves so we can have better, richer, deeper relationships with others. And the key is to be able to break the cycle. So after watching the movie and dealing with my own pain and trauma and stuff like that, I wanted to sort of offer up some things that I do and some suggestions that you could take away or integrate into your own healing process. And the first thing is you have to acknowledge the pain. When it hurts, it hurts. Write it down, speak it out loud, share it with somebody that you trust. And it is okay to say, this happened to me and it hurt. The second is identify your triggers. And once you can identify them, you can get them under a little bit of control, that anxiety that builds up tight in your chest or lower back pain. Notice if it makes you feel angry or small or afraid. It's your body's way of saying to you, hey, you need to heal this. The third thing is find you a good therapist that gets you. That's important. That understands, that is empathetic, that can ask and answer some tough questions. Because a lot of times, if you've been healing, you're good at your own trauma. And so you'll be in the therapist chair and they won't be helping you, and you'll be manipulating the situation. And then finally, be patient with yourself and show yourself some grace. I wish I could say healing is easy, but that stuff is messy. It is messy. It is messy. It is messy. It's like slipping in the mud, and know that it's not linear, it's not straight. It's up and down. You'll be crying, you'll be happy, but you'll be peeling back the layers. And as you're peeling back the layer, each layer is healing. And you have to give yourself grace because if something happened to you when you were 5 and now you're 25 or 35 or 45, you got 20 years of healing. So you have to be able to give yourself some grace. But every step you take is getting you closer and closer to your progress. It's going to be hard and it's not going to be easy. There'll be some good days, there'll be bad days, there'll be some, I don't believe I'm dealing with this mess. But the truth is, if you remember the ultimate goal, and the ultimate goal is to heal and get better with recognizing the triggers and the traumas that we've gone through and understanding that we're not passing this into another generation. It stops right here. It stops right here with us. It's not going anywhere no more. I'm not giving it to my daughter. I'm not giving it to my son, and showing up fully for them so that way they can be great little people. And knowing the truth is, it's okay. It's really okay. Happy healing.